much indeed. Welcome back to the show. This weekend, authorities arrested Robert Durst. He is suspected in the murder of his wife and at least 2 other people. TMZ is reporting that among his effects when he was arrested were a latex mask for altering his face. What a creepazoid. I can only imagine what that looked like. It was a Hillary Clinton mask. It was very scary. A fake Texas ID with an assumed name, Everett Ward. $42,000. Everett Lockwood is my fake ID name. $42,000 in cash. And in his Houston apartment, authorities found not 1, but 2 copies of a book about his wife's death. Oh, shivers down my spine. Judge Alex Ferrer joins me now, a former criminal division judge who oversaw thousands of criminal cases over 10 years. He's also the host of Judge Alex. Judge, welcome.
Oh, hi, Kennedy. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Very good. I mean, you are no stranger to these intense criminal cases, especially murder cases. And now everyone is talking about
sadly,
that HBO.
Right.
Yeah, baby, I know. You don't have to tell me. You've got a crazy past, and that's why people look up to you, because you bring common sense. So let's talk about this HBO miniseries, The Jinx, where Durst seemed to confess at the end. The big question is now, a lot of people who watched it, they believe that he was saying that he's accountable for those 3 murders. Is that admissible in a courtroom? Would you admit that evidence in your court of law?
Well, I hate to put it in terms of whether I would admit it or not, because I would hear evidence, I would hear argument from the lawyers and make up my mind at that point. But thinking out from the outside, evidence typically comes in as long as it's relevant. The rules of evidence are rules of exclusion. They decide what doesn't come in. Otherwise, it just all comes in.
All right, so what would the prosecutor say to get it in, and what would the defense say to keep it out?
Well, the defense attorney is the one who's going to go after it and argue that it's not relevant, that it's not probative. But the biggest argument, I think probably the best shot that the defense has to keep some of it out, not all of it, because I think it comes in. The best shot that they've got is to go after his statement at the end, which is, I killed them all, of course. Remember, he's going to be tried for 1 murder. By letting that statement in, they're going to argue that it prejudices his client more than it has a probative value, because there's a weighing that goes on. If something is probative, but it is outweighed by the prejudicial effect, the judge should keep it out. And they'll argue that this will let the jury know that he killed other people. So its probative effect, the ramblings of this 71-year-old, is not that high. He talks to himself, things like that. But the prejudicial effect is the jury's going to find out that he is admitting to killing multiple people. So that's probably the strongest argument they have, and that may end up getting that particular phrase excised out.
All right,
but there's a lot in there.
In Southern California, people there and people all over the world have been stung by these high-profile cases where it seems celebrities are able to get away with all sorts of crimes, including murder. They look at Robert Blake, Michael Jackson, O.J. Simpson, and they see this freaky deaky Durst, and he's got millions of dollars. He may be sitting on $100 million. He's already gotten away with murder in Texas. What's to keep that same thing from happening in front of an LA jury where you've got high-profile defense attorneys who will leap at the chance to defend him?
Well, I mean, nothing's going to keep it from happening other than the common sense of the jury. I mean, the fact that you have hundreds of millions of dollars just means that you can hire the best attorneys, and there's certainly an advantage to having an attorney who doesn't have to work on any case but yours 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as opposed to a public defender who's got hundreds of cases. That being said, the facts are what they are. So it makes it for a stronger defense and an ability to attack the prosecution's case, but the jury doesn't have to buy the attacks. And in this case, the evidence of the letters, that's the most powerful evidence, I think. The statement in the bathroom, as much as it's shocking, a good lawyer can explain it away. But now when you pair that statement with the letters, it takes on a much more powerful value. It's another brick in the wall of evidence against them.
LAPD is saying that they don't even need his statements from the HBO documentary. They've got plenty to go on. Perhaps they were helped by Susan Berman's stepson, who went through her effects and years later found a letter from Durst that matched the handwriting from the one that was sent to the Beverly Hills PD. Is this guy a serial killer, though? I mean, is this guy, because now TMZ is saying he may be linked to other disappearances of young women in California from around the same time.
Yeah, they are investigating him on those because he was around the area in San Francisco at the time they went missing, and he did frequent a store that one of the girls used to visit her aunt at and things like that. So, I mean, I know he was a suspect back then, and of course, now that he's in the news, they're going to look at him. Anything that comes up that's remotely related to him, they're going to look at and re-examine. Is he a serial killer? I don't know. I mean, it may just be that the guy has gotten away with a crime before and feels like he can always get away with it. I don't know that makes him a serial killer. Serial killers tend to take a sexual pleasure out of committing the crime, as opposed to a mass murderer who just kills people whenever the opportunity arises, but doesn't necessarily get pleasure out of it.
Well, I think one thing people will enjoy seeing is, you know, they were transfixed by this HBO documentary, and you know, they're going to watch this trial like it's also a piece of watchable fiction, which is just crazy because it's stranger than anything a writer could come up with. Judge Alex, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Kennedy. It's great to be with you.
Thanks.